When you hear the word war, what comes to mind first? Perhaps you imagine days-long trench warfare, occupied cities cut off from the rest of the world for months, the hungry daily lives of people forced to endure the hardships of war for years, or the fiercest battles on the front lines where every meter gained costs weeks of effort and human lives. Well, not all wars are like that. Sometimes to win a war, just a couple of shots and a little over half an hour are enough. This is exactly what the Anglo-Zanzibar War, the shortest war in history, looked like. This war took place in 1896, but to better understand the whole picture, we should start with the events of 1890. It was then that the Heligoland-Zanzibar Treaty was signed between Britain and Germany. This treaty essentially defined the spheres of influence of the two powers in East Africa. Zanzibar was handed over to Britain, while Germany secured the mainland part of Tanzania. Britain declared the island of Zanzibar its protectorate and recognized the authority of its puppet sultan, Hamad ibn Thuwaini, over the region. As a protectorate of Zanzibar, the British Empire set two key political goals: the abolition of slavery and the restoration of the island's economy. These goals, and especially the methods of achieving them, angered many, particularly Zanzibari merchants who planned to profit from the spice trade. The plantations where spices were grown required cheap labor. Hamad's predecessor, Sultan Ali ibn Said, resisted British policies as much as he could, but after his death, the British supported the candidacy of their puppet, believing they now had free reign. However, instead, the palace was seized by the defiant Khalid ibn Bargash. He claimed that, as the son of Bargash and the grandson of Said, the second Sultan of Zanzibar, he was the rightful successor. Britain refused to recognize his rights, asserting that, according to the treaty, no one could take the throne of Zanzibar without the permission of the British Empire. However, the more Britain-loyal Hamad ibn Thuwaini had died, and Khalid ibn Bargash refused to submit, leading to a military confrontation. Khalid had modest armaments by the standards of the time, but respectable for a small East African country that, if it had ever been truly independent, had not been so for long. The Sultan had a 3,000-strong army, several artillery pieces, and even a modestly armed royal yacht, the Glasgow. In the neighboring harbor, the British assembled a force of 400 loyal islanders and a contingent of British Marines. They had 5 powerful ships of the Royal Navy at their disposal. Rear Admiral Harry Rawson sent an ultimatum to Khalid, ordering him and his troops to leave the palace grounds and surrender their weapons by 9 a.m. on August 27th. The day before, the British had demanded that all non-military ships leave the harbor. Upon receiving the ultimatum, the Sultan decided not to comply, believing that the British were simply bluffing and would not take real military action. An exchange of words even took place between him and the British representative. Khalid said, "We do not intend to lower our flag, and we do not believe you will open fire on us." The British representative replied, "We have no desire to bombard the palace, but if you do not comply with the order, we will certainly do so." The Marines proved to be models of punctuality and kept their word. Exactly at 9 a.m. on August 27th, Harry Rawson ordered 3 of his ships, Raccoon, Thrush, and Sparrow, to open fire on the palace. The palace immediately caught fire. In response, the Glasgow, the Sultan's warship, opened fire on the British cruiser, St. George Star. However, the Zanzibari artillery caused no damage to the British, while the Zanzibari artillery was almost completely destroyed by 9:02. It seems that at this point, Khalid decided to flee, using a secret exit from the palace and leaving his soldiers and servants to defend the burning building. The war could have ended just 2 minutes after it began. However, the British did not know what was happening inside the palace and saw that the Zanzibari flag was still flying. They took this as a challenge, although in reality, there was simply no one left to lower the flag, as the area around the flagpole was engulfed in flames. Therefore, The British continued their bombardment until the flagpole with the Zanzibari flag was knocked down by shells. At that point, the British ceased fire and landed on the island to ensure that no one was attempting to resist them anymore. This is how the Anglo-Zanzibar War ended, lasting only 38 minutes and going down in history as the shortest war. It claimed the lives of at least 500 Zanzibari residents. The British Empire restored the destroyed palace and appointed a new, fully loyal sultan, Hamoud ibn Muhammad, who would rule Zanzibar for 6 years and receive a knighthood for the liberation of slaves. The rebellious Sultan Khalid, after fleeing the burning palace, sought refuge in the German embassy, from where he was later transported to Dar es Salaam. From the perspective of British historiography, this colonial war holds tragic significance, demonstrating the brutality and inflexibility of colonial policies, and how dependent and defenseless the colonies were in the face of such power.